Hello Kids Zone, hope you're all well and keeping safe. Today, boys and girls, we're looking at 2 Kings chapter 6 verses 8 to 23. Have a read at some stage today or maybe tonight at bedtime. 2 Kings can be found in the Old Testament, and the story we are going to look at today is about a man named Elisha. Elisha was a prophet of God. Do you know what? He had a very special gift. Elisha was a messenger of God. He would hear God's voice and would tell others what God had said. There were two kings, the king of Syria and the king of Israel. The king of Syria started a fight against the king of Israel. He told all his servants that his camp would be in a certain place. Elisha, a man of God, sent a messenger to the king of Israel and said, "Do not pass a certain place because the Syrians will come down and they will fight you." So the king of Israel was smart and stayed away from that place, and there was no battle. This happened at least 3 times, and the king of Israel was saved by Elisha, telling him not to go where the king of Syria was and where he had camped out. The king of Syria was troubled and couldn't understand how the king of Israel knew about his secret that he had planned to attack them. So he asked his servants, "Which one of you is on the king of Israel's side?" He thought that one of his servants was a spy. His servants told them, "King, that none of them were on Israel's side, but they knew that Elisha, the prophet, told the king of Israel everything that the king of Syria said in private." The king of Syria was furious by this and sent out a great number of chariots, horses, and soldiers to completely surround where Elisha was at night time, and they all waited. Elisha's servant rose the next morning and saw a tremendous amount of soldiers, chariots, and horses. Elisha's servant was afraid, and he went to Elisha and asked him, "What are we going to do?" Elisha, the man of God, replied, "Do not be afraid. There are more that are with us that are with them." Elisha knew that God was on their side and that they didn't need to worry. Elisha prayed that his servants would see what he could see. And just then they saw the hills that filled by a heavenly army. There were horses and chariots of fire surrounding the city Elisha was in. Elisha's servant could see now that God was protecting his servants and that they didn't need to be afraid. They didn't need to be afraid of the human army surrounding them. The Syrian army must have seen movement at the place where Elisha was, where he was staying, so he began to move in to capture him. As they moved in, Elisha prayed to the Lord again. A few minutes earlier, he was asking God to open the eyes of his servant. Now he prayed and asked the Lord to blind the eyes of the Syrian army. God heard Elisha's prayer, and the army lost their sight. God is all-powerful, and he protected Elisha and his servants from being attacked by the Syrian army. Do you know what, boys and girls? God is still powerful today. He can protect you just like he protected Elisha and his servants. Anytime we face any enemy, we need to remember that God is with us. We need to keep our eyes on him because he gives us his power to do what is right in a difficult situation. God will give us what we need to face enemies and challenges in life. Remember, if you're scared, God is always with you. Just like Elisha and his servants, when the army had surrounded them, God was with them and protected them. If you need help, God is always with you. No matter what scary things we face, just remember, God is all-powerful and he is there to protect us. God protected and took care of his chosen one, who was Elisha, and he wants to take care of us too. He wants us to be his friend, and we have to accept him into our lives. I trust, boys and girls, that you will want to have God's strength and care in your lives today. Stay safe.